just that teeny bit. To understand what they found, you have to know that when the government borrows money, it does not set the rates like lenders do. They say, okay, U.S. government, I feel very sure you're going to pay me back, and so I'll lend you money at this relatively low rate. But then the word processing mix-up happened. Checks temporarily didn't get sent. Dick and his colleague found that for 6 months after that mistake, the U.S. had to pay about 0.6% more to borrow money, which may not sound like a big bump, but it added up.
It was about $12 billion at the time. It was a significant impact.
So potential lenders are saying, well, I don't know about this U.S. government. They might default, but they're saying it in the smallest, like, teeny mouse voice ever. They're not asking that much more money, but they are a little more worried.
Yes, I think that's what we would imply. And so we would wish that the Federal Reserve and our Treasury would avoid these kinds of issues in the future.
If some late checks can functionally wind up costing the United States $12 billion, then the lesson I take away is that if you introduce even the teeniest doubt that the U.S. is rock solid on paying back debt on time, it can become a big problem. After the break, we get our piece of the national debt. We finally get our team